Welcome to F1 One Begins. It's great to have you with us wherever you are watching from for this pinnacle moment in the rich evolution of F1. What an incredible start to the show, and that is just the start, a mere taster of what's to come. I can't wait to see the 2022 car. Trust me, it's going to be fantastic. We'll also be catching up with the F1 drivers who are joining us later in the show to give us their first impressions of the new car. And we'll hear from the experts at the FIA and F1 talking us through the incredible innovations on the 2022 car. Closing the show, we've got an exclusive music performance from Jungle. But before all that, we're going to hear from two guiding figures who've brought about the evolution in F1. Jean Todt, president of the FIA, and Stefano Domenicali, president and CEO of Formula One.
Happy to welcome you to a very exciting moment for Formula One. The FIA is committed to ensuring a bright future for Formula One, the pinnacle of world motorsport. Formula One has always been a laboratory for innovation, and in 2022 we will begin a new chapter with this major change in regulations. The magic of Formula One is in seeing driver and machine competing on the limit, and these regulations have been designed to allow the drivers to race closer together on the track. In combination with the financial regulations that are now in place, there should be more opportunities for all of the teams and drivers to fight for the top positions. I'm sure you are all looking forward to seeing these exciting new cars in action next year.
Hi everyone. Today is an exciting day for the sport, one in which we will unveil to you, our fans, the new 2022 car, in which the heroes of our sport, the drivers, will race from next season. The 2022 regulations from the FIA will create the conditions for closer racing, where the cars can get closer to each other and increase the intensity on the track and provide more overtaking. The new cars will be elegant, streamlined and designed for racing to the limit. It is an incredible moment for the world of Formula One, and I'm really proud to share that moment with you all. Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Jean and Stefano on their visions. So I think I've kept you waiting long enough, and I'm sure you're all as excited as we are to witness how the evolution of F1 racing over the last 70 years has led us to a new era for 2022. Sit down and strap in for the global launch of F1 One Begins.
A welcome sight for early visitors to the Grand Prix at Silverstone.
In the pits, mechanics get their charges ready for the trophy race. The drivers wait tensely for the dropping of the flag, and they're off. There are plenty of good drivers in the battle, and everyone's got a chance. And at 90 miles an hour, Marina crosses the line first.
Everyone expects a rip-roaring finish.
The Mercedes hang on to their lead.
World champion Juan Fangio thunders home.
Here's Jim Clark and the gear changing he spoke about. It was too hot a pace for some even early on.
Tactics will be to drive as quick as possible. Grand Prix racing today, it's flat out right from the first lap. No let up. I'm going to go as hard as I can.
The car was very fantastic. I never had any problem.
When you're fighting for the championship, you have to go for everything. There was a gap. I went for it. He closed the door.
You can't beat world champions unless you drive very hard.
We're part of show business. It's sport and it's business. We're here to perform on the track and off it. It's truly glorious.
Drive fast, don't crash.
Go, go, go!
But I'm off to a good start. I have to keep the pressure on.
Not just the car is reliable, but he's so bloody fast.
We did it! We did it!
Brilliant.
We know how to win championships. We can do it again this year.
We're going to give it some large. That's how it should be done.
We are world champions!
up, give up, give up, give up, give up.
All to play for. I'm so sorry.
World champion, well done, enjoy it.
Box, 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 box.
That's how we race.
Get it, Kill, get it. Did you like that one, man?
Max Verstappen wins a Formula One Grand Prix.
Move and done and gone. Get in there, Lewis.
Hamilton has more wins than any other driver in Formula One history.
Oh my God, yes!
Yeah, guys!
Wow, how do you follow that? I told you it was going to be amazing, didn't I? What an incredible car, and it looks fast even when it's standing still. I just can't wait to see it driven in anger on racetracks next year. So now that we've seen the new car, I'm sure you've got many questions about what is changing in 2022. So to answer some of those questions, let me bring in now Sam Collins. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Rosanna, and I think it looks fantastic, doesn't it? And I think the best way to start to take a look and understand this car is to talk to two people who are integrally responsible for its creation, Ross Brawn and Nicholas Tombazis. And we caught up with them earlier at Silverstone Circuit to take us through this car and what it's all about.
I'm Ross Brawn, and I'm here with Nicholas Tombazis to walk and talk you through the 2022 car that's just been unveiled.
This car is the embodiment of new regulations, and that's a result of a multi-year effort between the FIA and Formula One to review the technical, the sporting and the financial aspects of Formula One.
I think it's a pretty striking new design. We wanted it to look great, 18-inch wheels, a lot of new features, and we think it's a fantastic race car.
This is not just cosmetic, of course. We've had a multi-year collaboration between the FIA and Formula One to review the aerodynamics. All these shapes you see around the car are made in such way to improve the flow to the rear car and to improve racing.
And the whole objective behind this has been this closer racing. We want the best drivers to win, but we want a much closer competition. We want them battling wheel to wheel. To enable this, we've got a much simpler front wing design. The floor is a lot more straightforward, more ground effect, And then we've got these wheel wake devices which surround the 18-inch wheels and the larger Pirelli tyres.
There will be sporting regulation changes. For example, during a race weekend, the number of car upgrades will be limited in order to stop the development arms race. Plus, there are many simplified and standardized components in order to cut costs.
So this is the start of a new journey, a new philosophy, a new culture, where the raceability of these cars is going to be vital to the future of Formula One. And why do we do that? We do that because we want to entertain the fans. We want to engage the fans. We want new fans to come into the sport, and we want to respect and maintain our existing fans so they remain excited about the pinnacle of motorsport.
It won't happen overnight. We will obviously study what solutions the teams produce, and we will keep working at it to improve, but we believe over time the racing will improve sizably.
So this is a unique new chapter in our sport, and these regulations have evolved to make Formula One the absolute greatest racing spectacle and to push our sport to the very forefront of global culture and entertainment.
Joining us again is Nicholas Tombatsis, and Pat Symonds now joins us. He's the Chief Technical Officer of Formula One, and Mario Sola from Pirelli. He's the head of F1 and car racing at the tyre supplier. Nicholas, tell us how you got started on the journey to what we see in front of us.
Hello. Between FIA and Formula One, we set out a project to see how we can improve the experience for the fans in Formula One. So we set a team of technical experts to investigate both the cars itself, the tracks, to see actually how the fans react during specific events during the race, etc. So what we established quite early was that what we felt we could make a big step was how close the cars race each other. Not so much actual overtaking, but how close they race, being able to follow each other, fight each other throughout the race. So that's what we've been trying to do, mainly acting on the aerodynamics.
Now, Pat, you've been working extensively on these cars for a number of years to spice up the show. Now, a lot of technology and aerodynamic research has gone into this. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey that we've been on?
Well, we started the journey in 2017, so we spent longer on this car than I think any other car that has been produced in Formula One in terms of getting some regulations together. Now, the aerodynamics generally in a team is developed in three ways. It's developed using computational fluid dynamics, or a sort of wind tunnel on a computer, if you like. It's done using an actual wind tunnel, and it's done using the car itself. Now, we didn't have access to the latter, so we've really concentrated on our computational fluid dynamics and backed it up with some wind tunnel testing. But our CFD has been much more sophisticated than is used in the teams. And we've been able to do that thanks to our partners at Amazon and AWS, who've allowed us to run these very sophisticated simulations in around 70% of the time, or 70% saving in time to what we were doing initially. Now, to give you an idea of how big these things are, our CFD project uses over 1,150 computer cores, and we have 550 million data points on each model that we run. We've run 7,500 simulations since we started, so that's around 16.5 million core hours of computing. Now, to put that into context, if you did that on a pretty sophisticated sort of 4-core laptop, it would take you 471 years to do what we've done in developing this car. We've also produced a huge amount of data, around a petabyte of data. And to put that in context, that's equivalent to 10 million 4-drawer filing cabinets full of sheet paper all written on, or around a third of the 10 billion images that are on Facebook at the moment.
Mario, now noticeably Nicholas and Ross mentioned the tyres a little bit earlier, but I'm sitting with these in front of me. A lot of people are going to ask why we've moved from the 13-inch rubber to the 18-inch. What's this about?
For several reasons. First of all, we have a more modern tire because 13 inches are no more used on road cars. We had to redesign completely the product. It's not just the size, it's a new family of compounds because to achieve the target of close racing means to have a wider working range, to have compounds that suffers less of overheating, and we had to redesign completely the product.
Well, that's quite a big change that we see on the car. Nicholas, I can see the halo in the rear impact structure on the car. What can you tell me about the safety improvements that have been made for these cars going forwards?
Well, obviously the safety has been an incremental process throughout the life of Formula One since the 1950s until today. And we wanted this car, apart from being more exciting to watch, to be another step safer. So we've worked very hard with the teams to make much more stringent safety regulations. The most important ones are the front nose. It can absorb in an impact about 50% more energy. The side of the car is also about twice as strong to lateral impact. We've made improvements to the headrest for the driver, to the fuel tank. We've made it much more difficult for debris to be spread out on the track, which would make it dangerous for other cars. So we've been working very hard on all of this safety matter.
And Nicholas, we've seen 70 years of innovation in this sport and engineering, but something that's really important to me and to many people at home, what's Formula One doing to ensure there is a sustainable future for the sport?
Well, sustainability comes in two aspects in the modern world. One is, of course, the environmental side, which is we've been working to make step towards improving the carbon footprint, both on the fuels and on the engine. And we're also making steps on the financial side. We believe that there's a lot of margin for improvement to make the sport more sustainable. So, for example, in 2021, we have the financial regulations. These are going to become more and more prominent in Formula One. And a lot of parts of the car are going to be cheap and more affordable. And all of that is pushing towards the same direction of making this sport more affordable.
Now, Pat, it's such an important topic. Sustainability is everything at the moment. What changes are we expecting going forwards in terms of improving sustainability of Formula One?
Well, we're doing a lot of things, both at the events themselves and, in fact, with the cars, and particularly in the realm of fuels. Now, you may know that for a number of years there's been a requirement for Formula One fuels to contain 5.75% of a bio-sourced component. But for various reasons, these bio-components have deviated somewhat from those that we would like to see in road fuels. Now, the FIA and Formula One remain very, very committed to introducing a fully sustainable fuel in the near future. And we've been researching that subject very intensely, along with our partners at Aramco. Now, already, from an engineering point of view, the current engines are incredibly efficient. They operate at around 50% thermal efficiency. And what that means is that they are taking around 50% of the energy that's in the fuel and they're converting it to power, which is way above any other engine on the planet. So we already have the most efficient engines, but what we want to do is now have the most sustainable fuels. So we're working with Aramco and the FIA to produce these sustainable fuels, which we want to have in the cars by the mid-2020s. At that point, we'll be making a real world impact, I think, because we will be showing that for the vast number of internal combustion engines that will still be around in the 2030s, there is actually an alternative to fossil fuels.
Well, Nicholas, I mean, it's going to be great to see these cars on track, but when we do see them on track, what do you expect to see?
Well, I can't wait to see them myself, of course. We expect to see closer racing. Maybe not from the first race, because maybe somebody will get the new rules right and somebody wrong. But very soon we expect to see a closer level of competitivity between the cars and cars being able to follow each other more closely.
And looking a little bit further ahead, Pat, what are your wishes for this new car and the coming seasons with this wonderful new rule book?
Well, we certainly want to grow our fan base, and we want to do that by producing just fantastic racing.
Well, thank you so much, guys. That was absolutely fascinating, and I cannot wait to see these cars on track next year. So we've heard from the experts who designed and developed the car over the last 3 years, but now it's time to meet the drivers and see what they think. We caught up with them earlier to get their first impressions of the car. So let's go to Silverstone and see what they thought.
Finally got to see next year's car. What are your thoughts of the 2022 car?
Interesting. It's very different to what we are used to. The most important is that we improve the racing, that we can race closer. And if this is the way forward, of course, you know, I'm for that. So, yeah.
2022 will be a serious challenge, getting used to a new car, a new era of car. And if it enables us to follow and race like it's planned to, I think it'll be amazing for the fans and for the sport.
I like the rear of it. The rear looks pretty old school. Well, it reminds me of more like 2008, that style, which is cool. The front is very different, but I think like all things, the more you stare at it, the more normal it will start to look. So,
as long as it's good to drive, it's a proper race car, we can have a lot of fun in it. That's the main thing. I really like the car from the front wheels back. I think how aggressive it is and the aggressive looks plus the rear wing, I think it looks different. It looks more aggressive than the current ones. Looks simpler also, which hopefully improves the racing. And yeah, I think it's just cool in general.
Oh, it's definitely going to change quite a bit. We've already tried it on the simulator, and we can already tell that it's quite a different car to drive. But as Carlos said, it looks cool. I think it looks aggressive, nice. Hopefully it will be quick. Hopefully it will improve racing, which I think is the most important. And yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think it looks great. You can clearly see the difference with the car we're driving. So yeah, pretty excited to see them on track next year.
Oh, it's different for sure. It's very simplified around the barge board area. And there's a lot of sophistication under the floor now, and that's the idea that it's going to help racing, allow us to follow closer.
I think it looks good. It looks futuristic, and yeah, hopefully we see a better racing. All the cars closer together and close battles.
Yeah, for sure look really different, and compared to the currently car, and yeah, we'll see what will happen. Hopefully we can have all we want, that we can race much closer together to follow the car, and but yeah, look nice, a little bit smaller as well, and yeah, look nice.
I think it looks great, to be honest, and excited. Obviously, the idea behind the change is the right idea, and I guess we just have to wait and see when it hits the track if it performs as well as we all hope. But it's definitely, I guess, the first time the sport's ever had a working group towards making racing better, and that's, as a driver, all we want.
How important is that fact that the sport has come together to produce this new car?
Yeah, massively. I think obviously there's been a lot of interest in just making the cars faster and faster and faster, and the racing side of things has been secondary. Now I think everybody's really pushed to have a car that allows us to race, allows us to push, and I really think this will provide that. So, I mean, obviously we're still 6 months away or whatever until we'll hit the road in winter testing, but I think overall it's really exciting, and overall the sport and the future is looking great.
Sounds like the drivers are looking forward to next season just as much as we are. Now, I'm joined by two F1 fans before they perform an exclusive mix of their track, Keep Moving. Please welcome Tom and Josh from Jungle. Guys, great to see you. And Tom, you are a huge F1 fan. So standing next to the 2022 car, what are your first impressions of it?
It's very exciting. I feel very privileged to be here. I think it looks great, very fluid, very, I guess, liquid. Looks like it's going to cut through the air. That front wing is... it's really special. It's a big change, so I'm very excited to see it in action.
Sounds like you're an F1 engineer rather than a musician, Tom. What is it about F1 that you love so much?
I think it's just a sport of such fine margins. I mean, like tenths and hundreds of seconds separating these guys between glory and failure, and that's just like a really epic thing to see play out on a Sunday.
Now, Josh, what is happening in the world of Jungle? I know that you have launched an F1 Tracks playlist takeover to celebrate F1 One Begins. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've put together a playlist for F1 of all of our favourite driving tracks, and we've got an album coming out on August 13th, which is our new album called Lovin' in Stereo, so we're super excited about that as well.
Wow, lots to look forward to. Now, I would love to stay and chat to you more about the car, about your music, but I know you need to get ready for the set, so I will let you go and get ready.
Thank you very much.
And now we've got a treat for you. Here's Jungle. that was amazing and brings us to the end of the show. Thanks to the FIA, to Formula One and the global partners of Formula One for inviting us to the launch. Thanks to our F1 drivers and executives for their time and insight. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. Hopefully, we'll see you all very soon. Enjoy the British Grand Prix and the first ever F1 sprint this weekend. Goodbye.